What is up, my friend? Let me share with you one of my favorite techniques for figuring out what to do to achieve an outcome without overloading yourself with stuff that you don't need. Who am I, by the way? I'm the founder of Simplero, software company for coaches and course creators. Been doing that for a very long time. So part software engineer, part spiritual teacher, part coach. This is one of my favorite techniques. I learned it 15 years ago from a guy named Rich Schefren, and he called it the IO map or the IO method or something like that. And I have no clue where it came from. I've been trying to look it up several times since. I have no idea where it comes from, but I love it. And so I'm going to share it with you now. I've used it many times. I've taught it to many people. It's absolutely incredible. So here's the idea. The idea is that the problem that most people make is that when they're trying to achieve something, they start to brainstorm like, what do I have to do that, to get there? And their mind comes up with all kinds of things that they could do. Here's the thing. You're never going to have enough time to do all the things that you could do that might move you in the right direction. Ain't going to happen. People end up overwhelming themselves with all kinds of things. They're like, I want to grow my business. Well, we need to do post on social media every day. We need to do an influencer campaign. We need to have an affiliate program. We need to have a sales team, and we need to do cold calling. And we also need to have a funnel and run ads and blah, 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 blah. And they come up with all these different things that they think that they need to do to get there. What the IO map lets you do is work in the opposite direction. What is the outcome? What absolutely must be in place in order for this to happen? Wait. Need to stop drinking sparkly drinks before these videos. What is the outcome? What absolutely needs to happen in order for me to get there? And then what needs to happen for that? And then we work backwards. Let me walk you through what that looks like. So for example, let's say the outcome is I want to run a live event with 50 people, right? All right, cool. That's the outcome. What absolutely must be in place in order for this to happen? Well, we need to have a venue, right? Okay, we need to have a venue. Let me actually write that out on the side here. We need to have a venue. What else? We need to sell tickets, right? We need to sell tickets. Okay. Maybe we need some sort of assistant or volunteer. All right, cool. Let's say that's that. Maybe we need some other things like food or whatever. Great. Okay. So for the venue, what absolutely needs to happen in order for us to have a venue? Well, we got to scout some stuff. And then we got to pick. All right, let's say that. Pick a venue. Okay. To sell tickets, to have an assistant, well, I have one. All right, cool. Check. Done. Right? Well, I need to maybe fly them in if they're not local. Whatever it is. You get the idea. Sell tickets. Well, what absolutely needs to happen in order for me to sell tickets? Well, I need to email my own list, right? Absolutely need to do that. And then I need to pick... I need to pick one other strategy who could deliver the rest. I may not know what that is right now, so I say for now. So I just say pick strategy, for example, and then we can work backwards from that. Or here we go. Or we're like, and then we're gonna do affiliate. We're gonna reach out to, 30 people who have our audience, and then I'm gonna invite them to invite their people to my event. Let's say that that's the goal, or maybe reach out to 50 people, and then maybe 5 says yes, and each can bring 10, or 10 says yes, and each can bring 5, or however that is. And then we got 50. Well, we also got my email. So that's kind of how you work backwards. What has to be in place in order for us to do this? And you'll notice kind of on the selling tickets, we actually don't have to do email. I mean, it'd be dumb not to do email. But instead of brainstorming, what are all the things we could do? What are the things that we absolutely know that we need to do? And then we start there. And then we can add more stuff later if it's not working, if it's not enough. But let's not start by adding a bunch of stuff. Let's figure out what is the simplest way that we think that we could possibly do that. So that's essentially the essence of the IO map. It's working backwards instead of forwards. Most people make the mistakes of working forwards and they just brainstorm all these different things that they could do, and it's a shitty idea. It's not a good idea because it just overwhelms you with a bunch of stuff. So really take time to think about, like, what is the simplest possible thing that you could possibly do in order to achieve the outcome that you want by working backwards from it being a reality. Super simple technique. Play with it, and see how it does for you. See what comes out, what you learn, what you realize from doing that exercise. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified. Send to a friend that you think this could be useful for, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next vid. Bye-bye.